press record. The recording's in progress. And if I go over here somewhere, where's my thing gone? There it is. What's going on here? Come on, Joseph. More. Live stream. I've just done this. You previously logged on. Bear with me. Getting real with Dr. Joe. What time did what I just put something up there? I can't remember what I've put there. At last, no. No time. No time.
I like
Like
that one.
the present. Oh, it's all about time. At last. Right.
Atlas.
Go live. So that's going live. We'll go on here. Prepared in live stream. Be with you in a sec, Elsa. I'll just check if it's on here. And then we can see what's coming up. Out of time. The end times. There we are. We're on. Elsa, I've got a visitor. I've got a couple of visitors coming in. There might be other visitors coming in afterwards as well, if you catch my drift. That's that one. And I've one of my wife's relatives popped in as well.
I can't see you. Where'd you
I
go?
don't know whether you can see that, can you?
No. Is it
I
because
can't
it's
see
green?
anything out of this.
Ah.
Oh God. She said to me, put that on, Elsa will like that. Said it might remind her of her family members.
Yeah.
Oh God. I feel very light-hearted and bonkers today. It's been one of those sort of days, really.
Yeah, well,
Elsa, it's lovely to see you. How you doing?
I'm good. It's funny you put that background up because we've been sleeping with all the fruit bats. They're right out the back window here. So I am batty. it's it's official.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Well, we have some as well. We have something called pipistrelle bats, which are like sort of they're looked after, and you're not allowed to sort of catch them or do anything like that with them. So we have quite a lot of we have wildlife police actually who look after the wildlife and stuff like that. And because Catherine's into all this, at our back door, we've got foxes coming in, we've got rats, mice, and the cat goes out and she doesn't know whether she's coming or going, Griselda. So we picked her name Griselda for this night because my wife Catherine is absolutely obsessed by Halloween and has been since she was a child, right? And she told me just what she said when she was a child, her father had this sort of knocked up this cabinet, right, like a coffin, and she used to sleep in there. And I thought, I've definitely made a mistake here. So, yeah, no time like the present. And what I got told was, Joe, there's no time in the present. That's the whole point. There's no time
Yeah.
in the present. And I
That's
thought,
yep.
very clever, right? But there is horizontal time, which like plods along in age. And then there's the vertical time, which is no time, this neutral point where all the information seems to drop in from the cosmos. And I can honestly say that today has been one of the most overpowering days that I've had for a long, long time. And whether
Yeah.
that's as a result of COM-ET, at
Uh,
last, and all that, because I put a thing up there with Atlas holding the world up, and I put another symbol up, which has been with me all day. It kept coming back to me. It's like an A with like a zero, a zero at the top of it. And that to me immediately represents Stargate, because I was addicted to Stargate. It's one of the most powerful films I've ever seen and the series as well. And it reminds me basically of my life because I think I'm like Daniel Jackson, the mad scientist on the, you know, who got laughed at initially, But as he went along, all the stuff that he'd been talking about started to come true, And Elsa, that seems to be happening in my life as well. It's very, very peculiar the way things are dropping in. So Atlas, I see that Atlas, I don't know what it is, but what I've been told today or what's emerged in me is it's almost like a programmed satellite which is passing by various planets. And as it passes the planets at certain distances, it almost like reactivates them and realigns them, you know, and feels all right to me. I go with what I feel, and it feels perfectly acceptable to me on the inside. What do you think about that?
I think it's like a mass collection of mass collection, like of mass consciousness. Yeah. And as I was making my coffee this morning, I'm thinking, what am I going to talk to him about? And then I was like, wake up. What happens? So, intelligence and evidence is something that's happened to you, of truth, to you. And now, someone's evidence to your evidence might not work, or it doesn't resonate, and that's what makes us all different. So, out of time really hit me on so many levels, and it's that tick tock, the rhythm. So keeping a rhythm in you is important, and sometimes your tick tock in you will go faster with adrenaline, and then it will go slower with your breath. But with exercise, it goes back up, and so it goes up and down. Even the tick tock, right?
Yeah.
Which is probably how you describe linear. What happens if we flip it all over? I'm really good at flipping stuff over. So what happens if the Bible wasn't written as an event? It was written as someone had dreamt it. And they were writing about the future.
I've had all this morning. All this that you've just said there has all come
So
to me, really.
well, okay, because I'm looking to you for confirmations in certain ways, because you help me. So I'm bouncing this idea of the Bible, which might have been the same idea that the Bible came from. Can you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
He
yeah.
might have. Why is so the this and this is not to upset religions. It's just to give you another point of view of it. The lady who wrote Harry Potter, she said she had these thoughts come to her through the night as she slept on her friend's couch because she had no money. The lady who wrote Twilight series, same thing. Star Wars series, same thing. These stories came to them and they don't know where they came from, right?
Yeah.
So that's imagination. But you have to have a certain level of intel to decipher it. So we needed to be at this point. So how would someone describe the future to eating pita bread and wearing sandals and riding around on camels when they don't even have cars? Or like, how would you write that story? So you'd write it the way they wrote the Bible. So maybe the three coming, that is them. They are the three. The three wise men have passed, and as I understand it now, Christmas Day is not that day. It's September 11, and Halloween, the actual origin words of it is holy beings. It's spirit gate. So this is why they had grandma, and they dig up grandma and grandpa and put them at the table. Which my kids still go, that's just not right. But I'm just saying, like, this is why they have the Day of the Dead. That's 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 one of mine, I'm
Yeah,
sure.
yeah,
Um,
that was me grandma popping in to say hello.
because as I also understand, death is sometimes when they cross over, these people actually get a little louder, and it's weird. I can't explain it. I don't need to explain it. I just go, okay, I'm listening. What do you want me to do? How can I help? Everyone needs a hand. How can I help? And usually by me helping them brings an acknowledgement to energy, I guess, or the universe, and then something really great happens for our family, Dr. Joe.
Yeah,
So this is acts of random kindness. This is Hollywood knows this. This is why they do all the symbols. This is why they have made all those buildings because they knew they had to act it. This is why we called
yeah,
actars.
yeah.
They've messed up all our words for reasons. It's one smear campaign after another, and you have to just get your windscreen wipers on and wipe your eyes each day
Yeah.
with all the muck in it and go, you know what? Maybe it is that way. Maybe it could be this way. Maybe there was no Jesus Christ and Bible. Maybe it was someone's. No one, no one can, no one walking on earth could say they have evidence of the Bible.
No.
Like, but but yet, how many of us follow our whole lives because of that Bible, and we'd go to church every
Yeah.
Sunday, and look, there's some really lovely things in many religions that they practice, but no one dates their own body back to that time. And if they did date their body back to that time, then that throws the Bible out the window again. You can't, and I always say, well, you can't have all your cake and eat it all too. Like, so which one is it? And I never get quite a clear answer on these questions. So then I go, well, this could be a theory, right? And
So it's fascinating. Since we've met one another, we've talked about this, but the film Somewhere in Time.
oh,
So
I
that's
love
always
that.
been time. It's my favorite film of all time, because it
Yep.
really it pulled my heart out, and I was so sad after watching it. When he's in his wheelchair and he's off he goes. But he goes off to meet her again, and I could feel that. I could feel that happening, right?
Mm.
And then the coin, when he took the coin from one dimension to another, and then time collapsed and all that. I understand all these things because for me, it's a collection of events, you know, and through breathing techniques, and I think this is what I've learned is through breathing techniques, I can actually slow time down and just do one thing at a time. I never had that ability before. And it's also by slowing our breathing down and breathing in a certain way, we change the way our brain waves process information. And I know I was in a room once where people were smoking like herbal cigarettes, and I must have inhaled something, I must have inhaled them while I was in this closed room. And what happened was everything slowed down, right? And the music it became more beautiful, and the blue became bluier, And I became awfully hungry at the time. I don't know what it was. It must have been like roses or something that they were burning. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, what that made me realize is time slows down because events speed up, our thinking speeds up. And I thought that's interesting. So that was one paradoxical thing that I realized is that when time seems to go slower, it's because events and thinking are going quicker. So I thought, okay, I'll have to give that some more thought. But the other thing that happened to me is, right, with time, is I understood that when I tried to do myself in, and I went to that place where time stood still, and to this day, I've got no idea whether I died or I had a near-death experience. It doesn't matter to me. I'm not really bothered about it. But I can remember clearly that everything started to slow down and the world stood still. And in that moment, Elsa, I understood everything about everything. It's like I became the watcher behind all the scenes and all the plays that were going on. And it was almost like having a sort of head with all sorts of windows. And I could sort of see through these windows and get complete different perspectives of everything that was going on, you know. And I know now in meditation, I'm always being given the ability now to choose which window I want to go through. Right. And depending on the direction of it, I can go backwards and almost sort of project myself into the scenes and feel the scenes. So I've almost gone back now through my dad's history, through my granddad's, you know, all that sort of stuff. And I've almost become them in those times. I don't know what I'm saying here, but it's just a feeling that I get. But one dream that I had, and whether it's a dream or it's a vision or what the hell, I don't know. But I got this thing about a big carousel wheel, and it was the wheel of time, and it was taking me backwards, 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 and it took me back. It took me back through the south of France, through the Cathar region, you know. So I did that one. The Templars were there. Jesus and Mary Magdalene were there, you know, and all this sort of stuff. And I thought, this must be something to do with me, what I've been reading or looking at on YouTube or something. So I'm going backwards. And then I enter Egypt then. So I'm in Egypt and I'm going through ancient Egypt. Had a word with Imhotep on the way backwards, right? Find myself then going into Sumeria and I landed in the Tigris and the Euphrates. That's been a massive part of my life or my consciousness. And in that time then, so I'm going on this wheel going backwards. Time stood still there in Assyria, right? And then another carousel joined, right? And that started to go the other way. And it was almost like I was going backwards, but the future was coming forwards to me, right? Does this make some sort of sense? So it was almost like, I mean, if that was the Anunnaki injection and changing our time perspective because our DNA changed and therefore our chromosomes, which are basically timed, if that's what that was about. But what I realized was that going backwards, I was actually getting in contact with future races as well. Right. I'm still trying to get my head around it all, but it seems to make more sense now. Right. And so it's changed my perspective on reincarnation because that's just a different picking up a different car from a different window. So it's almost like the soul's journey, and it can almost like choose which car it wants and where it wants to go on a journey and stuff like that. Over to you.
Well, this is what happens when you're around those herbal cigarettes.
Yeah, yeah. Well, what do you mean, herbal cigarettes? No, I'm sure it wasn't that. I'm sure they were just burning rubbish. Anyway, yes,
That's a whole of Byron Bay.
yeah.
Um, they go, oh, it's herbal. I go, yeah,
Yeah.
okay. I look, it doesn't worry me whether it's herbal or not. You can do whatever you want. Oh, that's right. It's fine. What I find interesting is that you said carousel. So carousel is a car. It's a magi piece of cell. So it's a carrier of the cell, but because it's magical, it's carrying you to all these other scenes. And to be a scene is to be seen. I love our friend, Zian. Her name helped me understand that. To see in is to be a body of water, and you're a carrier. So you're seeing in. The reason you say you feel your grandfather and fathers and other relatives is because you have parts of them in you, but they don't run you. They're just in you. Like they're embodied in you, but this whole where you have to have the same symptoms as them and things like that isn't how it works in your cells. It's just that you're a carrier of them.
Right.
See, you are that Ferris wheel. That Ferris wheel's the golden compass of us. It's our calendar. Or calendar would be like how you said carousel, calendar. I would class that very similar. and there'll be that cycle,
Yeah.
and then just come on a little angle, and that whole cycle changes again. Come on a tiny bit of an angle, and then you start getting a sphere, which comes back to this golden compass of us.
Yeah.
And when they say how old humans are, I don't know, I'm getting a whole different story. I see the land and I hear indigenous stories around the world, and I go, I don't think that's working out, this whole human time thing. Uh, I feel that the animals are helping us through this because they've been the timestamp marker through this, and they show where we were, where our evolution was, how they got us to look like what we are at this point. But I think if you went back quite to the beginning, they'd probably look at us going, they look weird.
Yeah.
Look at them.
Yeah.
Look at that.
Yeah.
That one looks that one looks really weird. Look how tall they are. So I'm sure there would be they would look at us as we're future aliens. So I guess what I'm saying is it's not what it seems. And imagination is helping us unpick it all, I guess, because it's been forced on us, really has been forced on us and policed by others. The ridicule, the insults, the you should be doing this, you should be doing that, the judgment. The only way that's going to disappear is if we are examples. That's it. Because you can't judge someone that's judging you. Because
No. Because that's
what is that? A
judgment.
double? That's judgment.
Yeah.
Okay, you can't go look at them. They're picking on me, and you go, well, you've just judged them. So let them pick on you. If that makes them feel better, then just find a way to move away from them, and the allowing is allowing them to judge you. Yeah. So, and that's one thing I have been good at most of my life is allowing people to judge me. Because when you're sensitive, you feel it. Oh my gosh, you can feel it even if you don't hear them say it. You can feel it when you walk in the room. But if your drive in you is strong enough, your will lead you past all that.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you wouldn't have got here in the first place. So, this is what happened. You're around those herbal cigarettes, and I'm sleeping with bats. So,
Yeah.
what do people expect when they listen to us? Seriously.
Funnily enough, I wasn't really a smoker of those things. I've
No,
been
no, I'm just
around them.
teasing.
No, no, but my thing, as you know, my poison was drink. And it used to happen to me when I got to a certain place in drink, something opened up in me and disinhibited me. And then I would take like a notepad and I would be writing stuff down that was coming in, and just write. And there'd be pages of this stuff coming in, just flowing through. And I'd wake up the next morning and think, what the hell's all that? I
Yeah,
didn't
but
understand
what
it.
happens? What happens, right? If what you just said then becomes the Bible? Get, well, that's what I'm saying. Like, who knows? I mean, I know many religions speak about the Bible, but if a story's been passed on enough, it becomes, right?
Yeah,
It
yeah,
becomes a legend. And so this writing down intel that you're having, and then someone reading 100, 200, 300 years later, but everyone's been reading it, they've been teaching Dr. Joe's story at school, so it was a thing.
yeah.
And they go, this really happened. But I don't know if it did really happen. He was having intel about the future. Can you see? Yeah, I don't know.
No, no, I'm
It's a
with
bit
you.
scoo-whiff. It's
I
scoo-whiff,
understand.
right?
Yeah,
It's because I'm sleeping with bats. I'm
yeah.
having a
No, no.
transition.
See, I understand this because when I went through the program of recovery, right, I basically had to go back and sit with the feeling associated with the memories that were coming to me. And I
Mm.
think freedom is when you work beyond memory. So there's nothing to match it to really. And so therefore we need to just surrender to not knowing what's coming up next.
Yeah.
Because if we even feel or think we know what's coming up next, it must be based upon some sort of standard. Now, if there's no standard, then there can't be any judgment because there's nothing to refer it to. So that's where I think that we're going is we go back through our personal memory banks, through the collective unconscious, through the collective Akashic records of the whole race, even galactic races, and then we come to a place where there's no memory. And that's this eternal now, where the place I got to and I was trying to do myself in, I think that's where all the freedom is, you know.
Yeah.
And what I got today was mentioned to Elsa about somewhere in time, because that was a place in a different era or epoch. So we've talked about that before. But there was also a series that I was hooked on called Continuum. It was a Canadian program called Continuum, a DVD series or something like that. And the other thing is Highlander. Highlander. Every time I watched Highlander, it just used to suck me right in. And then the other one that came out was Outlander, I think it's called. So all those things about traveling in time. But Elsa, I get a lot of stuff that goes into the future. And what I've been told is, Joe, you've got the ability to look into the future, to basically sit there for a while, bring the information back to this dimension and this box of space in time now, and try and help people to apply these things that are coming from the future. And then they say, because in reality, Joe, right, there's no time. And I think, oh, thanks for that. Right. So it's almost like going into another room in the university and going into another study course, really. And that's what my life, Elsa, over the last month, the stuff that's coming in is unbelievable. And you know yourself, it's overwhelming as it's all piling in. But then I've got to try and then, so apparently my job is to try and simplify that and put that message across in a more simple way so that more people can understand it, and that's what I'm trying to do really, talk in ordinary language, to try and talk in metaphor and stuff like that, to try and get the message across. And I've made a promise to grow in understanding and effectiveness of carrying the message. And then I said, well, I'll do that. Certainly, just remind me what the message is, right? And he said to me, what they're looking for is within them, right? It's not out there. So it's out of the head, back to the heart, and feel your way through the next step. And
Yeah.
it's become that simple to me because I wake up in the morning and I just say, hello, what's on the cards today, please? And it's like having an employer that gives you the job sheet for the day. It gives you the information. It gives you the information, and that's the information that you need to act upon, not to theorize or analyze it. It's just, here's your job list for today. Go and do that. And when you've got all the tasks out the way, like washing the dishes and all that stuff, when you've cleared a path, go out and enjoy yourself. Have a nice day, son. See you tomorrow. And that's
Oh,
what my life's like now. I don't try and work anything out at all. Like you, I say, what do you want me to do today? And I just get a feeling. And then I set off on the day then, you know.
yeah. Like they pat you on the head,
Yeah,
put your clothes, tie you up, wipe your cheek, and then push you out the door.
yeah. That's
Go,
how I
off
feel.
you
I
go,
guess I get a little,
off you go.
well,
And then they slam the door behind you. It's
and
like,
I get, well done, son. You've done a good job today, right?
it's
Here's
like,
an ice cream. That I feel like that. And sometimes they talk to me like this. No, no, yeah. Let us break it down for you, sonny. Right? And I think, and because I tell them to F off then and say, don't be doing that, right? I've had that all my life, right? So that's where I'm up to, and all this
yeah.
stuff that's happening now. I'm excited about it. Everyone,
Oh, that's
loads of
so
people
good
are
to
getting
hear.
angry and frustrated and anxious, and loads of people are having anxiety and panic attacks. And that's because I understand that most of these people are already sensitive, but the sensitivity is increasing, but they don't understand how to deal with the emotional reactivity that's coming with it. And that's where I step in really, because I had to go through that process to learn that the way you breathe determines the way you process the information. So become aware of your breathing becomes the sort of main phrase really.
So, um, Sian said, "What's the symbol on Doctor Who's telephone box?" Which was a U and a wave. And I went, "What? U and a wave?" So U and a wave is your hull with the stream coming through, and the stream crosses both frequencies. So you are deciphering, and well, you're a container collecting all the new information that's coming through, but it's it's waving over one frequency and going over another. So which gives me the message you understand it because you're allowing it to go through the hull of you, through the ship of you. It's also luck. So luck is a sign of going back to the three. So there's the three passing us, or some two of them have already passed. One's passing. Um, there's those three. Then there's the three that started, which is the octopus, the spined ones, which we're affiliated a lot with, and bacteria. So there's those three. They call them looker, the lookers. And so yeah, when you describe how you're dealing with it, it's that symbol of that's your star sign, right?
It's not. It's the star sign that's been assigned to me. It's Ophiuchus, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and Ophiuchus. I mean, I'm a Pisces, me. I'm March the 19th, so I'm at the end of
So
the.
they say.
Well, yeah, exactly, exactly. But it's always like being a sort of a split personality, actually, right?
Yeah.
But the Ophiuchus one is the 13th sign of the zodiac, and that's coming up at the end of November, and it finishes on December the 19th. Right. But what I've got is Ophiuchus is associated, is personified as Imhotep. And you know I get massive information from Imhotep. So Imhotep, when he was deified, here's a triune coming up now. Right. Right. The mother of Imhotep is Sekhmet, right? The father is Ptah, right? So there's another male, female, and child as well. So there's that one. But what I've got with Joe, this is also about the triune brain, the three portions of the brain, So all these Trinity things come to me, and then I get the trident as well, and Neptune pops back in as well. So there's that oceanic thing, that wave, which represents the move from the right hemisphere to the left hemisphere. That's an analog digital conversion. But this is what I got though. As the wave comes in, it hits the hull on that side and it sweeps back around again in a figure of eight. Right. So this is how they show me all these things really. So the serpent handler, that Imhotep is known as the serpent handler. And it's come in as the 13th sign as a master mechanic and a remediation thing. So it's come in really, and this is what the link is with Atlas 3i as well. Is Atlas 3i is programmed like a sewing. I got this sewing needle, and it's coming in to stitch up all the fragmented sections, right, in order to put everything back together again. And I'll shut up after this, but I get all the king's horses and all the king's men. There's the king's stuff, the soldiers and the police forces couldn't put Humpty back together again. And the final thing is, I've got the fall of the House of Windsor. I'm just gonna say it, and
Oh.
it's almost like I got a clear indication of the golden crown coming up. That's the reverse or the inversion, where the crowns come in, right? And I get King Arthur and the Knights of the Round Table with all these different coloured gems on, right? And I'll say, well, what does all that mean? And it's got everything's going well, son. Carry on, go for an ice cream, and you can put a flake in it, put a Cadbury's flake in it as well, because you've done a good job, right? And finally, this is big with the Neptunian thing as well. I get influenced by the Syrians, but Sirius C. So there's the third one, right? Because it's not a binary star system, it's a trinary system, right? So I got, well, that's all very nice. That can you work it out for me and give me it more clearly? And I get information's on the way. Night, night, son. Have a good sleep.
All right. Well, I'm going to tell you a little story. So Dr. Jojo's out of time, which sends me into create mode because I go, oh, I've got this song, it TikToks, and I've just got a lovely friend who told me a story about a watch. And Mila's been going on about the watches, and everyone feels watches. People feel them watching them, whether it's Big Brother or whoever they say is watching. But the watches are watching. Maybe the watches are watching can be many. It can also be your ancestors. It can be the ones up there. It can be the galactics. It can be the ones of the land, the Fae. They're all watching. Maybe they are the watchers. So the watch that the lady's holding in the video is actually a story that happened this week. There's two stories. This one, she lost her father's watch. She was looking everywhere for it because it was very dear to her. And so she went to all the pawn shops. She was wondering if someone had passed it in or it had been stolen. And she was looking and looking and looking everywhere. And then she found the watch. It was right where she first thought my watch was missing. It was just on the ground under a cabinet. And I said, oh, it's your dad. He's watching over you. And he's giving you some distractions to show you that it was always there.
Ah,
So time wasn't missing. It was always there. And she said she loved that. She loved that. So she told all her friends. And so I did a video of it, her watch, because it was such a good story, her watch. How you get sent on these goose chases, but it was always within you, like such a beautiful story. So I've got this time thing going on, and then Dr. Joe says out of time, and then I went, oh, I'll just do a little. Sometimes I get this surge, and I go, oh, a video. But 10 seconds ago I didn't have it, but then it was there. And then I see Cian's message, who I really resonate with her. I just love everything about her. I love her voice. I love her posts. Anyway, she's such a lovely, warm person and so real. Anyway, she asked about that symbol on you, and that was the 13th astrology. I went, I saw Ferris wheel too when I saw that. I saw lots of nogs, like clogs or nogs on the Ferris wheel. And I went, hang on a second. I don't feel 13. I feel 14. There's 14. What I'm understanding is astrology only had 5 planets when they understood 5 planets. Then they ascended and then they understand a few more. In my lifetime, they had this many planets and then they took off Pluto, which is so sneaky campaign. I love that. Like, get rid of a planet. But yeah, anyway, so I'm wondering if astrology with the planets is our ascension process. So by you bringing forth the 13th, which has been around for a while, the 13th, so it's almost like common knowledge now, the 13th. The 14th is the message I've been getting a lot of is set. And it's set us. It's the whale. It's the sea dragon. It's Loch Ness. It's Anubis. It's the set. It's us. It's number 14. So we go from 12, which is 3. Then we go to 13, which is compass. And then we go to 14, which is the 5th element. So are you getting this? Then I went, okay, well, how am I going to approach this with Dr. Joe? And then I started going on about all this, and I had words, and Richard said, are we going for our dog walk or not? And I went, I've just got to see one more word. And I was looking up what cetus is, and cetus is a coil, the spin of it, right? So now I'm seeing a Ferris, multiple Ferris wheels on a spin. Are you getting this? So, okay, this is how Elsa's world plays out. So we go for a walk, Richard and I, no kids, just Richard and I. We're going for a walk and it's been raining. We haven't had rain. We've been like in a bit of a drought and we haven't had rain for 2.5 months. So the ground's very happy. All the animals are so relieved for rain because it's not normal in rainforest land not to have rain. Anyway, so we're going for a walk and we can hear all the rivers are running and everything's quite full and happy and damp. We're walking and Richard's saying, we get down to the creek at the end of the walk and he says to me, look at this ground, it's so soft. And I thought he was saying it's soft because this is where a whipper snipped and made all the grass go down, so it was really soft. And he goes, no, 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 look. And we couldn't be more looking at the ground. We're right at the creek or the river. We're looking at the ground. He was so close to me looking at the ground. Then he goes, oh, and he swears, he swears and jumps. And there's a huge python coiled on a rock. Now, this python didn't get off the rock because of the dogs. There's 3 crazy Dalmatians running around and they're sniffing everything. They got to sniff everything. And then they got to dig everything. But this python was okay with them, but Richard went to stand on him and then I could feel the python saying the same swear word that Richard said. They both looked at each other, like the snake and Richard looked at each other and they went, oh, because I nearly stood on you. And the snake's going, oh, you nearly stood on me. The snake's saying the same thing he is. And then the snake goes on his way and he goes, wow. And he was literally this far away. They're big snakes, Dr. Joe. They look, I call them anacondas. They're huge. And I come upstairs and I went, so before I went for my walk, I had to research what cetus mean. And then we have the presentation from the cosmos of a coiled snake in the sun. In the sun. I'm just like, all right, okay, well, that's obviously what I got to bring up with Dr. Joe because you brought it forth in me because of the 13th astrology star. And I thought, if I tell him about the 14th astrology star, does that like change his star sign again? Because, so we're all writing, because it's hard to work out. Because I worked out all the families after the 13th. And then I heard there was a 14th and I went, what? I've got to try and work it out all over again.
But you see, this is no coincidences. I've got a big thing going up my spine now. There it comes. That's like a Kundalini snake going up his spine. And it's almost like shedding one layer and jumping into the next. So it's almost like shedding an old skin and jumping. It's a quantum leap into the next, almost like new skin, really. So
So I had
a new
yeah,
skin. Yeah.
a
So
new skin. Yeah.
yeah.
So like, so, so now because I kept getting the word, well, the other thing that happened is, we were floating my horse, Reva, who's that Reva means the royal four, and she's a dark horse, which I think's hilarious. Anyway, she's beautiful, beautiful horse. But the kids say, Reva has some mental issues, Mum. And they said she's exactly like Elsa. She has some mental issues. And Reva, when she gets angry, doesn't bite other horses, she bites herself. Because she goes within. It's all within. So she'll go and bite her shoulder. And they said, yeah, that's definitely Elsa's horse. Anyway, Elsa's horse, Reba, was floating and she started rearing, and she hasn't reared for years. Not like this. She reared to the point where it was actually humiliating, where it was embarrassing. It made us look like amateurs. I felt very sorry for the people that were near us because she was rearing. She reared to one point that she was so high, like she was trying to be a ballerina. But I came home and I just said, "Oh, what a mess that was, Richard." And Gemma said, "Oh, well, I'm going to have to give that horse kinesiology because it's Elsa's horse. Look at her, like it's all screwed up." And then I woke up in the morning and realised she's standing up for herself.
Huh?
That was the day. That was that big a big day. We had a lot of things happen this day here in Australia, and she was saying, I'm not right. I don't feel the energies, and she just continually stood up for herself. So she went back on herself, and I kept getting, we have to go back to ourselves. We have to go back and sit there for a bit. And yes, we've been stood up and left behind, but we have to go back there. And like you said, we're coming into the next, a new version of us. So yes, Dr. Joe's bringing the 13th through, and I'm going, hang on. Dr. Joe's brought the 13th through, but you can't have Rocky one. He also goes back to way back. So he's there. There's 14th over there as well. And it's helping us drag us through or something, like spiraling us through.
Well, it's the dragon, isn't it? Again, so rearing, means going backwards, doesn't it? Really,
Yeah,
so it's
yeah,
like a reverse engineering thing. It's almost like I feel when you were talking, I got the River Thames, and the River Thames is described as serpentine, right?
yeah,
Okay,
yeah,
and there's a whole load of stuff coming to me about London for some reason at the moment, and I'll wait till it all plays out and see what happens. But there is a lot of stuff going on royally at the moment. But the
Well,
Dark Horse, it's almost apocalyptic, isn't it, really? The Dark
yeah.
Horse, you know.
Well, we were gifted. I have to say this because you're gonna laugh. So, with the works we're doing, like you said, in the background, and we don't really talk about it, but we do things, just little kind things to birds or animals or other people, or just say sweet words where we feel weird energy. We get gifted a white horse, a beautiful white horse called Windsor.
Very good. Very
Not
good.
just any old horse, he's an amazing, talented horse. Like, we probably wouldn't be able to afford this horse at all. We'd have to take out a home loan or
Yeah.
something to. This horse has been gifted to us because of who we are and how we've been, and we just keep paying it forward. And even Richard says, "Why do you do all these videos? They take so much time. You don't really get any money or reward from it." And I said, "It's not that way we get rewarded. We get rewarded from the universe,
I agree with
and
that entirely.
you pay it forward." And so we keep paying it forward. Why do we show up and um, humiliate ourselves? I guess because because we're okay with it, and we can allow it, and we're okay to walk forward into those new ways,
Oh,
whether
I say,
you want
because
to come or not.
Catherine said to me, "What are you doing now?" I said, "I'm just preparing another talk." She said, "Are you getting paid for this?" I said, "No, no." I said, "Let me try and explain to you." I said, "I'm getting paid in all sorts of other ways, Catherine."
Yeah, you'll
Because I
get
mean,
paid with ease and grace.
well,
Yeah.
exactly, and the more you do it, and I don't do it for that reason. I just do it
Mm.
because it feels like the correct thing to do. And as I do it, it makes me feel happier. I seem to me head expands a bit more, and new stuff starts to come in. It's
Yeah.
amazing, really. I mean, Catherine's. I mean, she's come from one of those backgrounds where she's owned horses and had lots of horses in the
Mm.
past, right? But
Yeah.
she's met me now and fallen on hard times. You know what I mean?
Well, I think a lot of us, well, these hard times, like we're restricted with finance, but we weren't previously when we were in the system, and Richard and I chose to say, okay, no more to this industry, for it needs to we don't want to be affiliated with what's been going on. It just doesn't feel right, but we still have all that skill like
Yeah.
you do, even though you don't agree with a lot of the things that are going on in the medical world, but you have all those skills, so you got to apply it somewhere else. Otherwise, I will go batty.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
I can't
absolutely.
just, I will go
Yeah.
go literally batty.
I've got to be
So,
doing something to express it as it comes in. It gets
Yeah.
transformed and then gets expressed, and I think that's the way it works. There's a phrase in AA, they say you've got to give it away to keep it, meaning
Oh, that's
you've got
so
to
good.
keep the flow going. And as you give it away more and more, the flow becomes more powerful then, right?
Yeah.
And it almost
More
like, and
comes
this,
back.
yeah, exactly. And this the whole thing is they call it oceanic consciousness. And I understand what that means. And where I'm up to now is the importance of people understanding that we are body electric, that our skin, the posh name for it's the integumentary system it's called. And that's really it's to do with your hair, right? And your aura as well. And it's the electromagnetic frequency and your body's electrical energy. And I've been told, Joe, help people to understand that their field is their shield and that their field will build and it will actually come out and that will neutralize and protect them from any other distracting energies that are coming in to try and knock us off balance. So the idea, Joe, is people don't need to look outwards for solutions because that's falling into the trap really and taking on board more stuff. They need to go deep into their heart of hearts and allow the light to transform and send this out, and that's how each individual soul will protect itself because it's the soul embodying itself and then radiating through every single skin pore, which is an eye. Every skin pore is an eye, right? And I got that, like a peacock. You can see out of every single skin pore and you get a different perspective on depending on the direction that you're looking in. So I got all that stuff. But the most important thing is that your protection is within you, right? So it's to sort of almost stop looking outside for answers. Not that you don't need to listen to everything and watch everything, but you'll become more sensitive, but you'll become more strong from the inside out. So this works from bottom up, inside out. It's exactly the opposite way that the world works. And I get them stop talking about electromagnetic, Joe, and help them to understand that this is magneto-electric. It's the other way round. This is to enhance your magnetism and allow that to guide you forward. Good God, sounded like a bit of a lecture that there, but when I'm on one, I'm on one.
Well, yeah. Well, well, it just has to come from you, and then it goes out, but then it comes back round bigger. So this saying of tenfold is part of the ones, and the reason they say tenfold, the fold is it's spinning back onto you, and so that becomes that Ferris wheel again, or the golden compass, or a watch.
Yeah,
But you have to be the watch or the compass or the golden compass of you, and allow them to be the golden compass of them. Because what happens then is real magic. Because this is how I feel when I talk to you, is that you're doing your spin, I'm doing my spin, and your intel and my intel or information, and then it comes together and then it just gets bigger. And then I have no idea. I go, oh, uh oh, all those big words he said, and but then after I have to say with Dr. Joe, it takes a good 6 months for it to settle into all my eyes or my cells in me, because it's goes way back, it goes way back to the gases and the rocks of where Earth started, and these ones coming past know that in us. That's why this is all stirring up in us, because their water intelligence up there, because it is a lot of water in this one, Atlas,
yeah,
is enjoying our water. Let me tell you, they knew this time was coming. The Sumerians have it all written out.
yeah.
They will so they've got it all written out. That's what I'm saying about the Bible. Maybe the Bible is about now. I swear I had Moses the other day. I just swear.
Now, it's
That
funny you
we,
should mention Moses because in 2 weeks I'm going to Mount Sinai.
what's a Mount Sinai?
That's where Moses got the Ten Commandments.
Really?
Yeah, yeah. So I
You
was
got the
invited when I went to, I did my yoga workshops in Barcelona a couple of weeks ago, and they've invited me along to a week's retreat in the Sinai Peninsula in Egypt. And it's where
oh,
Moses is reputed to have gone up Mount St. Catherine, really, and Mount Sinai. And he was given the Ten Commandments and he brought them down, you know. And I think
yeah,
I'm going up there, right? This is what I get. It's probably egomania, but I get you're going up there to dissolve the Ten Commandments because they weren't commandments. They were instructions to say, if you follow this way of life, these are the promises that it will give you. It will give you peace of mind. And I think that
yeah,
that's what the gift is, to have no thoughts, it just to be totally aware and not have any thoughts, just back to that place of stillness and peace of mind, and almost like comforted and cosseted in unconditional love. And what I got today was, Joe, you're helping to lead people back home. And I thought, oh, don't be doing that to me,
oh,
because you know when I get all that, I get
that's
the
not so.
Egyptian thing. I get the Egyptian thing, and they go, Joseph and his multicolored dress. I say, behave yourself, right? And then again, and now you're moving on. Why do you think you've got a beard? Because we're doing the Moses thing with you now. And I think, oh, piss off, right? This is how I talk to spirits, and I have a sort of friendly relationship with them, but I don't like fall into any red herring traps either, you know what I mean? Because it would be easy for me to go off on one in like Fantasy Island, you know. So that's why I have to keep coming back, get my feet back on the ground, and just say, what do you want me to do now? And that's what I try and do. Like you, same, you know.
Yeah. Well, look, I get these messages, and then or we'll see something, a craft or a being or something will happen, and then I go, okay, and I don't know really what to do with it, so I'll go and do clean the dishes, or so I've been picking up trailer loads of rocks because the ground got so dry, it pushes all the rocks up. So Richard goes, we grow rocks, so all these rocks come up. And with the neighbours building a beautiful little rock bridge, so I've been taking them all down there. And I thought this will build up my shoulders so I can ride Windsor, because Windsor's a big horse. Like when I ride him, I got to be fully centered, and oh, he takes off. He's big. Anyway, so I'm picking up all these rocks, and while I'm picking up rocks, I'm picking up pine cones so that I've got pine cones for the fire. So I feel like I'm connecting to Rocky, and I'm connecting to the power of pi, right? And I'm picking up all these pine cones, and they're all done. I put my hands on my hips and I go, and then right where I picked up the last pine cone, I heard the tree throw one down. I swear he was throwing one. I felt like he threw it down because it didn't like come down gently. It went bang. Like, no, I went, well, thank you. That just missed me. And then I went, that's us. It's missed us. It's been missing us. And now we're like the gentleman in Christopher Reeve in that movie where he gets his sense
Yeah,
and can travel.
yeah,
And it was the sense that brought him there and back. It was a coin, and this is the reason they've used this word coin as sense to to make us miss it. And now it is the misses, and the misses is the memory of dragon. The memory of dragon is Orpheus is the stars with the snake between his legs, right?
yeah,
He didn't. Everyone calls him a slayer. He's not a slayer. He's a dragon rider. He's not hurting the snake. He's holding the snake. Who holds snakes? Someone that rides a snake. If you're riding the Loch Ness monster, you hold on. That's what I do with Windsor. He's a sea. He's part of the sea dragons, the water horse, the whale. This is where we all. This is where we come from. Is Set, and Setos is the whale. It's the memory of it. So see how it's it's a lot. It is. It's a lot to. We've talked about the Bible today, and the astrology, but maybe this has something to do with where you're going. Where you're going is the land of Torah, and Torah is Hooray. Hooray is celebration, and it's a celebration. The Ten Commandments were just a way to be. And when I origin word the Ten Commandments, they don't read the same way that I was taught at school. But basically, the Ten Commandments was don't gossip, don't steal, don't judge. Just simple stuff. Everything that I when I read the Torah, I was like, wow, this is kind of cool. You know how I learn about this tree, the Torah, is through zoology.
Yeah,
And Kate,
yeah.
and Kate had a picture of the mulberry tree. I think it was Mulberry Hill or something. And it took me to the Torah tree. That's how I learned about the Ten Commandments and Torah. I didn't learn about it through the Bible. I learned it through Kate drawing like a Dr. Seuss type tree.
Yeah.
Yeah. So by Kate being playful, brought through the Torah tree. By Dr. Joe and Cian bringing up the Doctor Who symbol, and out of time brings through the 13th astrology, the 14th astrology, and unfolding the Bible. And so this is like the Bible, what we're doing now.
I agree. You see, the Torah thing, the 10 spheres in 2000, the fall from grace is where they removed two of the spheres. Right. That was the fall from grace. So it left us incomplete. But apparently, through astronomical changes and realignments of the planets, the two spheres that were disconnected were put on. So that made it 12 again. And I keep getting all the time is that there's 1 plus 12, right? So there's 13. So this is to do with the Lord of one. And what's actually happening now in the cosmos is there's a great big realignment back to perfection. So it's the perfected human being that's being brought back online now. They call it Adam Kadmon, they call it now. So all this stuff comes in. So it's so what's the best way to try and help people? Just tell them, Joe, surrender to win. Just relax, trust the process, breathe in this way, and as the stress comes in, collect it all on the inside and breathe it all the way out, and just try and follow the prompts from your heart, right? And that's what I do, like you, Elsa, and it seems to be working because more and more people are cracking up. They're just cracking up, cracked pots, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the driving on the motorway, especially white van man, in the fast lane, they're like lunatics. I'm afraid to go out now driving because it's like some sort of scene from some sort of catastrophe movie, really, Anyway, so the whole point about it is I got told about the Ten Commandments was that Moses, because he was human, he'd already been given instructions, and the instructions were, if you follow this spiritual way of life, over time, you will not take the name of the Lord thy God in vain because you'll understand what it's all about. You won't want to steal because you'll understand what you steal from somebody else, you steal from yourself because this is the Lord of calm. So he said, oh, I'm going to, you will not want to covet the neighbor's wife and all that because, so they were all, if you follow your heart, right, these things will happen to you almost automatically, because they're waiting to emerge. And these are called the soul's gifts, you know. And I can say now, Lessa, we don't have to cognitively try and restrain ourselves from doing these things. All we need to do is stay open, and then our values will change as we go along.
Yeah.
So really it's a process of surrender to the next wave of our own human evolution. And that I
Yeah.
can see that that's what's happening, is to help people. It's not to fight and to be worried and to close down. It's almost to say, oh, sod it. Go on, big boy, have me now and let's see what's going on. And that's what I'm trying to help people with, is because they're not surrendering to nothingness. They're actually surrendering to the next level of their own growth, spiritual growth. Christ, I've gone on
Yeah.
there again.
Well, the vision I've got is the scriber who's he's chiseling the Ten Commandments. He goes, "Really? Do we have to do 10?" Like, so
Yeah,
there's the power. So there's the power of observation. You've got Moses, then you've got the storyteller of Moses, then you got the person who wrote it down, and this is what happens with our information or evidence. None of it actually happened to any of them because none of them were Moses.
yeah,
That's why I'm saying so. It gets a bit skew-whiffed, or it gets the story of the watch is my interpretation of that lady's story. I probably left out quite a few points, you know what
yeah,
I mean? But I'm just sharing the gist of it, the jest of it,
yeah.
the
And
message of it, and that's what we're doing today. We're just sharing the jest of it, and a lot of people see my Richard watching my videos and goes, "How is anyone gonna understand that? That just what's the point like that?" And I said, "Well, the point is that it feels good to me. That's the first point.
exactly.
I use it to help me as a timestamp. It helps me to understand where the words were at that time for me, so I can go back to it. So I use it like I use my videos as a Bible, I guess, because I go back to my videos and go, oh, that's what that word meant, or oh, that's where it was, or now that word's changed. And so that's like going back on time or sense on a word
Yeah,
or a energy of something. Yeah. So I'm just saying people will see people that bring in information and you can judge them if you really want to, but they're literally bearing their soul to you. They're opening up their soul and sharing it to you because one, it feels good to them, but they really are paying it forward. And it might not make a lot of sense just yet, but maybe in 6 months that information will help someone in your family or help your neighbor or help someone that you come across in an accident or in the grocery line. You don't know. So if you're drawn to watch something but you don't understand it, you don't know why you're watching it, but it feels good in your cells, in your eyes, yeah, go with that because the information that we're being fed is so forced on us. And if it's being policed and forced, why? Why do you need to police and force something? Because there might be a possibility that it doesn't resonate. And that is a form of control.
I agree. And
That's it,
and
really?
yeah, no, no, I agree totally because we've been socially engineered into slavedom. There's no doubt
Mm.
about that. And the social engineering was programming. So we've been programmed because when we're born, we're so open. And even within the first 2 years of life, loads and loads of programs go in. And the people who are doing this, they're very intelligent, right? But their time has come. They're in their end times now, right? You know.
I
And the
know what it
solution
is.
that we need is in no time. So when we go into the present moment, there's actually no time because we're not in the past or not in the future. We're in a vertical timeline. And in that vertical timeline, which is where our spine is, our crown opens up. That's where I see the carousel, the 12 potentials. And what's happened is the way the sun comes through our eyes and through our skin determines where our carousel is and which star it points to or which planet, right? And I've got that. The way that they've done this is they've worked us in a digital environment, which is basically artificial light, which has really messed up our pine cones, our pineal gland, right? Which is basically the seat of chronobiology. Chrono and Chronos was the god of time, and the biology. So it depends. The light comes in, here's a posh word coming up, it's called photobiomodulation, right? The way it affects through our eyes and the way it goes to our pineal gland will determine how our endocrine system works. So we get flooded with biochemicals, but most people now can't sleep properly because they're under the influence of artificial light now. And so it's so important now that people get out, especially in the morning and late in the afternoon, and do this sun gazing and allow themselves to almost, if they can do, allow their skin to absorb this light because that will again impact upon their way their clockwork, like clockwork. So we've almost been programmed into clockwork, and now we're being reset in natural light now. So even Elsa, this is what I found out, spring, summer, autumn, winter, right? The light is coming in a different way and a different frequency, which impacts upon the way our bodies work. So if we work to the natural clock, we'll probably go to sleep at 8 o'clock at night, but maybe get up at 4 in the morning. So it's to try and get back to our natural biorhythms as well, all these sort of things really. I've gone on again there, but this is what I'm seeing now. The effect of light and how we've almost like been distracted away from our natural body's rhythms.
I know what AO is.
Say again.
You said AO. I know what AO is. The AO symbol you said you saw an A with an O on
Oh
top
yeah, oh
in the
yeah, yeah.
beginning. Um, so you have slave or you have see love. Slave is see love. And they've taken the A and the O. The A and the O is the solution. A and O, so if you have a piece of paper in front of you and you draw a circle and then you draw a capital A and then you draw it again over the top of each other but a little bit further aside, you keep doing that around, you have a web or a Ferris wheel. It's a pie. It's the power of us to see love, to see what they've done with the words and the literature was for a reason to get us to this point. Can't blame, can't judge. Yeah, okay. Well, now I see love. I see love in others and I see love in angry people. I can see it in there because it's fighting. I see it when someone's really angry with me. I can see it in them and I can still see love in there and they know it. That's why they're angry. They're not angry at me. They're angry because the one inside can see it and the one that's yelling at me knows it.
And this is what I
And
got. That is true compassion. Have you looked at the word compassion? It's compass, isn't it? Never
yeah,
saw that
well,
before.
when you do the circle and the A, the capital A, so you have it that way, it looks like a human, but if you flip it the other way, it looks like the Mason compass.
Ah, cool. It
It
does.
so to you can be a slave or you can see love. It's both ends of the pendulum. It's your will to do this. And the way you bring forth will in others is to be a master. To see heaven is to be even and balanced. And to be even and balanced, you had to have all those experiences, Dr. Joe.
I agree.
Elsa had to have all those
Yeah,
experiences. They sucked, let me tell you, they sucked.
yeah.
And did I want to do this? No. Do I want to talk about this? No. But I'm okay with it. I'm there, and then I'm this.
Yeah.
And you become even, and the heaven is in you. He is in Eve. And that's the masculine is getting carried in the feminine energy. There's the ones in there. Like you said, all the ones are in there. That's heaven. It's not her, it's not him. They're in it together, otherwise it wouldn't work. And
I've just seen you do that then, putting your hands together like that, you know,
yeah,
in
I
an
know.
A.
And
But what I got
yeah.
today was you must tell her this, that's you.
Ah,
I got I got the picture and I thought, well, I know that because it means Stargate. And in Egyptian it means origin, right? That means origin, that, going back to our original, right? And I got I was looking at something else today about the planets and this comet, and it got AU, and I thought, hang on a second, what does that mean? It means angstrom units. Now that's a very, very small unit, an angstrom unit. So that's AU. And it also means, so that's the micro. And then I got, but Joe, in the macro, they're called astronomical units. They're real units of measurement. And then I got, but what does AU mean, Joe, in chemistry? And it means gold, right?
Mm.
And so I got all those things today, that were the golden age I got, because we were talking about time. So I was saying we're back on the road to the golden age now. And I said, oh, that's good. What do you want me to do
Yeah.
now then?
Well, the origin is the tool of jest. So one's tool of spirit. And um, if you haven't been tapping into spirit all your life, it might feel weird. It might feel um, crazy and unusual to the family, but you kind of, that's why they say you have to practice it to
Yeah,
get used to it so that you can tap into it faster and faster without, you get over the weird feeling, you get over the trying to stop it feeling. I love that Evan Almighty film. You've got to watch that. It's like they keep making him Moses and he doesn't want to be, but he keeps waking up in this outfit, or he tries to shave his beard off and then 2 seconds later the beard's back. That's how it happens
yeah,
to
yeah.
people that are getting these insights and messages. And not everyone gets the messages and insights. Everyone has a different role here. Everyone's a different creator here. So the ones the seers or the see-ins, the ones that they see it and they just have to share it out. Then you'll have the ones that have to act it out, or the ones that ground it in. And usually you'll see a lot of partners in relationships. You'll have one that brings the information in, then you have the one that grounds it. And our kids are always saying to me, yeah, if it wasn't for Dad, Mum would be like, ooh. Because Richard grounds it in. Like he goes, well, how is this going to work? Or how's that going to work? Um, but he sees the magic in it too.
Yeah.
And the biggest one I talk about is, put the organ under a bridge, and 2 weeks later, pick me up here, Dad.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Brings the son home. Spirit brings the ones home. And that's what you're doing, Dr. Joe. You're bringing them back on, bringing them back home. Come back home. And some days you'll feel like, oh, yeah, I'm back home. And then the next day will be a solar flare and nothing's home.
Yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
out and a mess. And that's okay too. You're not meant to have the same day every day.
Well, the ancient, not the Aztecs, not the other ones, the Mayans, they believe that every single day has a frequency of its own. So therefore, the
Mm.
frequencies will impact upon us, right, individually. So that's we'll experience each day differently, and that's how we grow through the process. And I'm happy, because I just work and live a day at a time. And Catherine says to me, "What are we doing next week?" I said, "Well, here's a bit of a rough plan, but expect it to change." You know what I mean? And you know, and I can't even remember. More and more now, I can't even remember what day it was yesterday, never mind what day it is today. I have to
Mm.
check my watch or my diary all the time now, because literally I'm just being sort of guided to stay within the day. And if I'm staying within the day, then I'm in that vertical dimension, and then all the information just keeps coming through, really. So, like we've said before, it's almost like the cross of changes because the information comes in, and then there's a vertical, then there's the horizontal,
Like
and
a
I
like a
think
shift.
the
Yeah.
shift, the shift, and it moves along in objective time, but this one's subjective time, so it's different times, and that's why different people have different concepts of what time means to them. And that's why some people work on a brainwave or whatever that's really rapid, and some people are slow. So some people can be classed as slow thinkers, but in actual fact, they're not slow. They're just deeper thinkers, you know.
Yeah.
It's fascinating. I find it's totally and utterly fascinating because they're more inclined, the deeper thinkers are more inclined towards right brain, influences, because the right brain is the open one, and that's where all the astrological and astronomical things come in from, the cosmos. And then what's supposed to happen in, so that's the feminine one where the real wisdom is. What's supposed to happen is then the feminine gets the information and then says, hey, you've got some work to do, and passes the message on to the masculine then, who goes off, protects, does the work. And I was born on March the 19th, which in the Catholic way is called Saint Joseph the Worker. It's like at the spring equinox, really. Saint Joseph the Worker. And my sister's called Mary because my mum and dad, they just used to try and find a name. They just used to open up the prayer book and see which saint's day it was. But what I'm beginning to understand now is it's almost like a sacred reunion of the masculine and feminine, and that's why I like yoga so much, because yoga simply means union or
Yeah.
reunion, you know.
Hmm.
But that's happening in every single cell in our body. That's why we're going through this bioregenesis and this stem cell thing, because the new frequencies that are coming in are resonating with perfection.
Hmm. We this coming back, like go back. Um, it's really important to keep your spine straight. With Atlas from now to February, um, my horse showed me um, uh, a few other things that have happened around us have shown me that you have to get your spine straight. It one, you look better with a straight spine, but whatever you can do to correct your spine, because a lot of I think Mila told me they get it's called the Facebook body, where it looks like the F where you hunch over. It's like you because everyone's looking at their phones, and you see a lot of kids and they're starting to get this
Yeah.
lump here on the back, which is just basically muscle growing the wrong way. So whatever you can do, whether you lie on your bed and drop your arms back and like bare your soul type thing, stretch out here the shoulder blades, but keeping your spine and your shoulder blades open, which I have to do a lot. I always say to the kids, go and lean up against the wall, and then you'll realize how alignment you really are out. Or yoga does this; it's one of their poses. But something about that will help the tar rain from Atlas that's coming in come through a bit easier, up and down the frequency of the. It'll just help it ease it out. I just got big messages the last few days. Is if your spine's not straight, it's going to hit you hard. Yeah, and I know if I'm hunching, you don't have core strength when you hunch. You actually can't, if you ride a horse collapsed a bit, to the horse it means bolt because you'll lean forth like a jockey.
Yeah.
It also, but you don't have any core strength either. But when you become straight on not perfectly straight, but when you have core strength on a horse, you actually don't need reins to ride the horse. You just ride them with the core strength and telepathy.
Yeah.
The
It's
reins
useful
mean
for
nothing.
riding dragons as well, really.
Yeah, well, that's star sign number 13.
Yeah.
When I saw the picture, I went, he's a dragon rider. That's so cute. Because we just went to those lands, Dr. Joe. The dragon lands.
So
Look,
yeah, because the King Arthur thing always takes me back to all that stuff, right? And then when I
yeah,
get back to the dragon stuff, it takes me into the prehistoric animals, right? And then T-Rex comes in and Velociraptors and all these things. And
yeah,
then it takes me back then to the rocks. And then it takes me back to the stardust or the tardust, right? Or
yeah.
the TARDIS.
TARDIS,
And
yeah,
then it takes me back the before the Big Bang. And before the Big Bang was the silence, right?
yeah. So,
And so they've shown me now from the Big Bang point of view how there was like movements, and then there was a bipolarity, and that was the yin and yang when yin and yang started, and then it starts to cool down, become stardust, the stardust condenses, becomes rocks and stuff. So they've shown me how exactly materialization takes place, really. But you mentioned something before about 14. So 4 and 1 is 5. And I've had the fifth element thing battering me for ages now. The fifth element, because the fifth element is ether, which is the invisible realms. That's a non-material realms, but that's where all the information is. And what we're being taken now is to the 12th dimension that was blocked off, because that's where we then get into the invisible realms when all the inspiration starts to come in. So we're moving from instinct through intellect, through intuition into inspiration. So our lives then just become, we don't have to make any decisions other than we just get inspired to act upon certain things without knowing why. You know, I'm
Yeah.
getting all this stuff about, ye must be as little children, because kids are in awe all the time. They can spend 8 hours looking at a rock and it just fascinates them. And I think that that's where we're taking back to, is they're saying, forget all your knowledge. You don't need it. All you need is, right, just go with what you're feeling and just allow you, pour yourself into what you're doing. And that's when this awesomeness will come back to you. And I can feel that happening, Elsa. I
Mm.
really can. And when
Well,
I'm like you, when I look into people, I can see right into them, right into their eyes, feel where they are, and get a sense of then where, maybe where they need to act and do stuff and things like that.
well, sometimes I don't know the answer or don't know what to do next. But then some butterfly will come across, or a leaf will blow across, or wind, or a cloud, and I'll go, oh, there you go. There you go. So yeah, that's that's how it works. Like, it's weird. I don't understand it, but they all seem to. This is one thing that they talk of in the Bible. They don't talk of synchronicity in the Bible, but what they say is, over and over in the Bible, God works with everything.
Yeah, yeah,
God works with everything, and that's what synchronicity is, and that's what the dovetailing is. So if you're seeing 111, 555, 444, or you're seeing sequence, sequence is seeing code. That's what it is. You're seeing a code. That's it. If you're seeing symbols, if you keep smelling certain smells, look into what the smell is. Look into feeling that smell. See where the smell, it might be reminding you something of your childhood that you're supposed to clean up, an emotion, a memory. And by doing that, that might clear a disease in you. And this is how we've worked through metaphysically healing ourselves. And I have to, look, Dr. Joe, what's weird is I think this is our 14th show.
Oh, there you go then.
I checked on the last show. The last show was 1 month before the lung tumor burst in me. And I've had to change my diet to help assist my cells become me again and grow again. And did I want to change my diet to this? Not particularly, but I have, and it's working. And so, yeah, just be flexible with what's going on in your body, what you require, what you need. Um, for some reason, I've had to just have broth soups and things again, just to re-heal parts of my body. And even the kids said, Mum, you're looking younger again, you're looking this again. And so that's how I know it's working. If I started looking older, then I would not go down that. I'm just saying, like, there is no rules. I've been vegan, for decades, but I had to go against all my beliefs of it
Yeah.
and go, okay, well, for now, this is what is going to, I need to work on this immediately.
I do the same. I'll say it's 3 years to the day since I had those two heart attacks that near saw me off.
3 years, isn't it?
Yeah,
Wow.
3 years. And I don't take any medication, right? But I don't block anything, because if my soul says you need antibiotics, then I'll do
Yeah.
it. I don't hold on to any fixed ideas now. I go with how I feel. And if I want a pork pie, I'll have a pork pie. Because I have people getting onto me, on me. comments and stuff like that. You should be vegan. You can't get to heaven unless you're a vegan. I
All
said,
this
well,
is
I
judgment.
yeah, well, that's the thing. So I put a light-hearted comment back that's got a bit of a jib in it. You know what I mean? That
Mm.
says like, well, I find the occasional pork pie helps me to keep balance. You know what I mean? And then I,
Well,
I imagine I imagine their reaction when they read it then, because it's partly light-hearted, but it's like, don't tell me what to do. You know what I mean?
I
Because
think, well, because ethereal and going back, you said going back to the ethereal, the ethers, right?
yeah, yeah.
So the ethers in Asian culture in our meridians is called the FU.
Right. Yeah. Well,
So,
that's it. It's kung fu, isn't it? It's like, yeah, it's. And I say that one, that Tai Chi, I go that one. I've told you once, right? I've told you twice, and then you should have listened, that. Because I think lightheartedness, I don't mean stupidity, but
yeah,
lightheartedness is the key. Because the
yeah.
lightheartedness, right, it radiates through us, and at the same process, it's cleansing and it's keeping us in line with our original healthy human template. And so
Well,
it's all about expression.
yeah. And so you have the belief systems, right? So you go, okay, well, I'm going to need antibiotics or I need broth soup, right? So this has gone against what we're practicing, but we've gone, you know what? I'm allowing enough to even do that. So you do these things, right? But then you have the understanding of it all. You just go, oh, so then maybe I was meant to meet someone where I got the antibiotics from. So
Exactly.
something will happen there. Or when I go to the butcher's, maybe someone I meet at the butcher's. I,
I think
that's a
exactly the same way.
we're going to have to call these Moses moments.
Yeah, yeah. I think the same way. Catherine will say to me, well, why are we going there? I say, I've got no idea. I just feel that I've got to turn left at the end of the road. And I go there and I
Mm.
go, oh, hello. Fancy seeing you. Somebody I haven't seen for 15 years and stuff like that. But this is the day when I got the big portal opened up about 10 foot in front of me. It was like a great big swirling portal. See, I've got a thing. I was talking about it now. Big thing coming up my spine now. Talking about it, and I got the feeling of you can go in there now and jump in, right, and come home, or you can carry on a bit more what you want to do. And I sort of intuitively, I sort of said, no, I'll hang on if you don't mind. And then it closed down. This was just before the park run, right? And then I started to get the feelings in my chest, but being an idiot, I ran as fast as I could in the park run, as you do, right?
Yeah.
And that night, it was in the middle of all the like COVID things and all this sort of business, right? It took them 6 hours to get me from the accident and emergency department to the chest hospital where the doctor who was doing it, I remember him saying to me the pain was horrendous. He was saying to me, just look at this screen up here. He said, when I count three, your pain will go. And I was like, effing and blinded, like, just do something, will you? And I'm looking up at the screen. I see the wire going in into my artery. And he went, one, two, three, and the pain went, and everything started. And by all accounts, I was like on my last legs, really, you know.
Mm.
But part of me was like fascinated by it all. I was sort of outside of myself watching, thinking, isn't this fascinating? And all that. So anyway, I don't take any. I keep in touch with the medical people and the consultants, and I said to him, "Look, my blood pressure's fine, my blood sugar's fine. I've just completed my 21st marathon, right? I'm coming up to 71 years of age. I think I'm doing all right." He said, "Well, carry on." He said, "But if you get any worries at all," he said, "just give us a ring and we'll sort it out." So I'm not stupid, but I trust my intuition. And I just wanted to say to everybody, the opposition, right, doesn't want us to start looking inwards and tapping into our inner strength, right? Our inner strength and our inner intelligence is called intuition. It wants to keep us going outwards to find knowledge from so-called experts who don't know us at all. If we just start looking inwards, right? It says over the portal in Delphi in Greece, it says where the oracle used to live. It just says know thyself. And I think the whole journey, Elsa, is to find out who we are and who we're not. and it's to jettison that who we're not in order to get back to who we essentially are, and that's called the I am self. And
Yeah.
I know I'm doing a bit lecturing tonight, but that's my job. That's what I do. But all I'm
Yeah.
saying to people is what you need to know is already in you. You don't have to do anything. You just have to get all the shit out of the way, and it will start to emerge and come through you. And you'll start to feel happier. You'll start to understand things a bit more, and blah de blah de blah.
Yeah. And then you'll be that person that go, you'll never guess what just happened to me.
Yeah, exactly. Right. Well,
Oh,
I'm going off now for my dinner.
yeah. You have a nice dinner.
Yeah, and it's so
And
lovely to see you. We'll do another one further down the line if that's okay.
yeah,
Number
sooner.
15, because
Let's
we'll,
do one sooner. Yeah.
yeah, okay, yeah. Well, we'll try and do one before Crimbo, which isn't really Crimbo, right? Yeah, yeah. All right,
Yeah.
but apparently, by all accounts, we're going to have a horrendous winter over here because we've got the floods in and the storms in again. And we've had another tree fall into a big, huge tree when I was away in Barcelona, fell in, smashed all the garden to pieces, tore the heads. So there's lots of stuff going on. Elsa, lovely to see you. My love to all of you, and I'll see you when I see you. And
Yeah.
thank you.
Thanks, Dr. Joe. Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.